O great crater of Paldea, how many mysteries do you contain? Hello, my fellow Pokemon trainers. Welcome one, welcome all, as today we talk about delicious, teased, secret, leaked, is it real, is it fake, juicy goodness. As, let's be honest, me and I'm sure you guys too are chomping at the bit for anything DLC related, because quite frankly we need it. Downloadable content, more like dastardly late content. Yeah. Wonderful. Aren't you so entertained right now? So, what are we talking about today? Well, first and foremost, you know, of course, our Paradox Virizion fusion with Cobalion and Terrakion, and our Paradox Suicune fusion with Entei and Raikou. Well, as it might turn out, they're not so much fusions as literally just Virizion and Suicune with a little bit of extra bits from the other two. They're like 80% the base Pokemon with just hints at the other two, as opposed to what we were kind of assuming, which was a more actual, you know, three-way 33.3% split of each Pokemon. Now, why does that matter? Well, it gives us a much more insightful focus on what their types, what their deal is going to be. We had the leaks of their signature moves, Hydro Steam and Psyblade. And this move leak, coupled with our ever-reliable Mr. Riddler-Goo telling us that they've already actually told us the types of Paradox Virizion and Paradox Suicune, is really the slam dunk that, yeah, these things are happening. They are going to be in the DLC, they are going to be new Paradox Pokemon. It's basically just a when, not if. And that's really cool to have that. I mean, essentially, you can bet the house on it. The question is, what types are they? Hydro Steam, of course, for our Suicune, is fire and water. That is pretty easy to kind of imagine. And then would that make Virizion pure psychic or grass psychic? That's another question entirely. We also have a little bit new info on these moves themselves. When it comes to Hydro Steam, it does 50% more damage in Sun, which, if it is a water move, is very interesting, because you would expect it to get weaker, certainly not boosted, and that's actually really cool. We also then have Psyblade, which does 50% more damage if it's based on electric terrain, which of course mirrors our Legendaries in Koraidon and Miraidon in the terrain that they set up and how they would interact with them. So, as it turns out, these guys might counter our Legendaries, and that might make them, well, more of a threat or more of a story beat when it comes to the DLC. So, basically, the bottom line is, yes, these guys are going to happen. We know their moves. We have a really good idea of their typing. We know how their signature moves are going to work, mechanically speaking, and we can all just but sit back and look forward to them. We also have, then, a much larger, and I'm going to give this heavy, leak going on here, as the chances are this isn't real, but it's not impossible, and it's also a lot of fun, so we might as well give it a little look-see. This was originally posted on 4chan, as of course all these totally legit leaks are, and it's quite the take. Supposedly, the DLC will be called Magenta Mirage, and while we're only going to get one DLC, it will be bigger than both of Sword and Shields. This is already a kind of interesting stopping point, because as a business, especially one that has made something as successful as Scarlet and Violet, you want to milk that milk tank for all it's worth. And if you're going to do that, you probably want to do many and smaller as opposed to one and big. But hey, maybe they're just this time around going to give us, value from our Pokemon games. Anyway, it's going to come out to November this year, which would make sense based on a Pokemon Day late Feb announcement, so perhaps that's got some merit, and the codename for the third legendary is Magenta Mirage. Apparently there's a second crater, which is what this connected hidden top right area of the map is, and in there is two whole tribes of people that have essentially just been in there this entire time. One a futuristic and one an ancient one. Terra crystals covering it, literally sealing it, and that's why they've been stuck for hundreds of years. Apparently they can't escape, which is why they're like, oh my god, oh no, and supposedly the DLC then will actually give us access into it. But why would there be multiple craters? That's already a question by itself. The craters clearly aren't natural. They have to be created by some power or entity or some unique event. I mean, it might be natural, but certainly not caused by anything that might mirror it in the real world. The shape of them is strange to begin with, and that would be something that would be worth answering. Apparently, Magenta Mirage has the ability to counter both Koraidon and Miraidon, and it summons Psychic Terrain and rain, so maybe it's a new terrain that has the benefits of both those terrains. Apparently its real name is Mimeu, and it's a water and dragon. So that's kind of a big call, isn't it? Supposedly then how this Pokemon works is it takes people's ambitions and dreams, keeps them from believing in it, and then that belief energy actually manifests them while the side effect is driving them insane. So supposedly our Heath character, which has been found to exist in the files, he probably will play a part in the DLC as hinted at in the Scarlet Violet book. Apparently he was the one sketching the pretend Pokemon that is the Paradox, Suicune, and Virizion, and that's why they actually came to be. Paradox aren't from the future and past, they've been manifested as the dreams of this now insane person thanks to this legendary Pokemon. Which, if true, would be quite the twist, wouldn't it? And it also inspired both our professors to build the time machine, and while the Pokemon they were pulling are from a future or a past, visually they are modified to match Heath's desire for Pokemon from other time, which he views to look like the Paradox Pokemon that we know. And then the Terra Crystals are parts of Mimeu that materialize when he does his thing. And supposedly, this guy is what's in the book that is alluded to as the progenitor of the Terra phenomenon. And again, it is quite the call, isn't it? And to be fair, Mimeu is 6 characters long, which is the same amount as the Pokemon alluded to in the book you can read. But look, guys, this whole thing comes across as information created to fit what we already know, therefore making it sound credible. And that's obviously a common way fake leaks are done, and a lot of it just kind of has this But why would they do that energy about it? It's caused quite a stir, and a lot of you asked me to talk about it, which is why we now are, but I have a hard time believing it, I really, really do. We also have, supposedly, a list of new actual Pokemon that will be coming in the DLC. New Paradox and new normal Pokemon too, along with a lab that allows you to change EVs, Terra type, and level of your Pokemon for LP, which is again interesting. Dual type Terra, which adds a lot of complexity, but I mean, would they do that really? I feel like normal Terra still is a big layer on top of competitive, and now you're suddenly changing the full dual type of a Pokemon, so it's technically got 4 stab options, is a bit of an extreme step to take. Then we have, of course, the actual Pokemon. We've got Paradox Suicune, Storming Waters as a Water Ghost, Paradox Virizion as Iron Blade, Grass Psychic. I mean, it's a neat type pairing because, of course, they counter each other back and forth with the pairs of types, but again, that just seems kind of backwards-facing information. The Ghost angle is interesting on the Suicune, I can see the merit for it, but we will have to see. Then we get Paradox Delphox with the Wicked Mage. As much as I would love another take on Delphox, because I love the idea of the, sorceress starter, but unless they are specifically focusing on the X and Y starters, which makes sense given all the X and Y connotations that we have going on here, it is kind of a random choice to me as not a popular starter, unlike the Greninja we'll get to. We have Chestnut with Iron Shelter, Grass and Steel, that's fair enough, and then double Paradox Greninja. This I could honestly see happening. It's an incredibly popular Pokemon, and like Charizard before it can get multiple of the unique forms, even if its peers don't. This is totally believable unbelievable. Rogue Warrior fighting Dark from the past, and then Iron Ninja Water Poison from the future. I can imagine how cool a Paradox Greninja in either direction might look. Then Paradox Kilowattrel, Thunderstorm, Electric Water, a nice way to give the Regent Bird a bit more of the spotlight, and then Paradox Glimmora, Iron Flower, Poison Steel. Glimmora, of course, is theorized to be directly connected to the Tera Pokemon and the Terastallizing phenomenon, so perhaps, yeah, this is a good one to choose. My Mew, of course, the legendary of the expansion, and then a Reflect Chime, a Chimecho evolution, Psychic Steel, and Tarampera, a Galvantula evolution, which I would adore, because Galvantula is one of my favorite Pokemon. I think the giant electric tarantula is incredible, so a bigger, cooler take on that would really tickle my fancy, but it does, to me, again, speak of, well, I want this, so I'm going to write it as if it's real mahahaha territory to me. I would love you guys to obviously throw your hat in the ring on this. Do you believe this? Would you want to believe this? If this was it, would you be happy? Let me know. For now, though, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below. And until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.